Proper fuel tank prep is critical if you want your fuel tank to last a long, long time. You're gonna need a few simple items. Gonna need some Dawn dish soap, some Zep sprayers. I like some of these 3M, the heavy duty scrubbing or stripping pads, some acetone, maybe some masking tape, and some gloves. Pretty simple. But I wanna show you how quickly we can roll through this side. I want to welcome everybody to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Joe Buskins. I'm a second generation professional boat builder, a 100-ton licensed captain. This is our family's boat shop. 29-footer behind us is a boat we built to run in our family's charter business. So welcome everybody. So here we go. Little bit of Dawn, about a half a spoonful in the Zep sprayer. We're going to kind of do this in a couple phases. Let's just get a little soapy water solution in a nice circular motion. Go in there. If any of you grew up with Karate Kid, wax on, wax off, Daniel's son. Get your workout in as well. Nothing wrong with circular motions. We'll do a few inline. You can do them side to side. Really get down in those crevices and whatnot. So we're going to be taking good care of these welds and seams. A good epoxy barrier coat will add years and years and years to the lifespan of your fuel tank. Now this is interesting here. You can see how where we've sanded, the water is a flat sheen, and you can see over here where we have not sanded, it's beading up. So the goal here in my mind is to get rid of all the surfaces, put enough texture on there so that we don't have any beading of the water any longer. You notice I took about a 2-foot section, so about 1 foot, 2 foot, focused on that, and then very methodically moved through it. There was a little ID sticker on there, but there was still some residue. We want to get any residue. Important to wear gloves because your skin has oil in it that you do not want on the surface of your tank. So some PPE, you're actually kind of protecting the tank from yourself in this case. And again, if you folks are new to the channel, if you want to see more about what we do, we've got everything from the build of our 29-footer that you see there in the background and our project boat that you see this fuel tank is going into. We've already done floors, transom stringers, as well as a ton of gel coat repair videos and other boat related content for the DIYers out there. Notice here, see how the water's kind of still beading up a bit? I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but you can see where it's beading. I'm going to hit that a little bit more. I don't know what's going on there, but you see that from time to time. And a lot of the times, if you just give it a little more elbow grease, that would indicate to me, like if you got a car you've waxed or it needs to be waxed, if it's got plenty of wax on it, it beads and repels. And so we're kind of trying to do the opposite of waxing your car. We're trying to strip any kind of oil or wax or residues off of the surface so that our epoxy primer can bond aggressively. Let's see if we got that. Oh yeah, see that's looking better. Do you see how we're no longer getting the beading of the water? I'm putting pretty heavy weight down on the heel of my hand there. That heavy pad, again, that is the heavy duty stripping pads. Now I will be putting I'll put a link to all this stuff in our Amazon store. We've been working super hard. We got really nice pictures, descriptions, everything that we use here on the channel. We will be sure to put a link to our Amazon store to make it convenient for you folks. That does help support the work we do here on the channel. If you're also enjoying the work that we do here, a lot of people don't realize it's totally free to subscribe to the channel. You hit that little subscribe button, totally free. That does tell the algorithm we're doing a good job. And we want to thank our Patreons of the channel as well. We got you folks out there that are encouraging us and helping us that way. So I want to thank everybody that's helping the channel through their Patreon support. It does mean a lot, and it allows us to do this kind of work. Next phase, folks, drying this tank off as quickly as possible. You can use some portable air power to get the bulk of it, and then a lot of times what we will use is a little bit of compressed air, especially as we get into the details. and all the little crevices, nooks and crannies. In between those little gaps and whatnot. We want this thing nice and dry as quick as possible. Sometimes using a little terry cloth towel. A lot of times what we'll do is as soon as we're done blowing everything off, I will come back and warm up the surfaces and cook any of that moisture, especially out of any little areas where there might be crevices and whatnot. You can see the heat gun drying that surface. We just don't want to leave moisture on there for a long time, and we don't want to wait a long time between prepping this surface and getting it sealed. Zep sprayer, a little bit of acetone, shop towels, quality respirator there, folks. Something to keep the acetone out of your lungs. We're just going to do a little spray down here and a wipe. A spray and a wipe. Any additional contaminant or moisture, just going to methodically go over. See, even then we're picking up a little bit of, you see there's a little bit of residue. I'd love to know what kind of project you folks are working on at home, so feel free to comment down below. What kind of boat? A fishing boat, a ski boat, sailboat? Let me know. I'd love to hear all about it. All right, here we go. Again. Remember, a good respirator, especially dealing with acetone and good ventilation, is a real good idea. Acetone is highly flammable as well, folks, to the order of magnitude of gasoline or even beyond. So no cigarette smoking, no open flames. Things will go boom on you. So super careful. The tank is looking beautiful. Ezels does a really nice job. If you call these folks, they can ship all over the country. They're based down in Florida, but I'll put their contact info up here on the screen somewhere. They built a big 160-gallon fuel tank for our 29-footer there. It's in the background, and I've been very, very pleased with the tank so far. It's held up very nicely. Want to welcome all of our international viewers here, folks. A lot of love from Australia these days, South Africa, the Philippines, all of Europe, UK, seems like Scotland. Mr. Jim, if you're watching there from Scotland, man, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. And many, many more. And of course, we love and appreciate all of our folks that are watching the channel here in the States as well. Now that, I think, is looking quite nice. So we've made a ton of progress already this morning, sanding and prepping our fuel tank. We got the majority of the top and the sides. We're just using a real simple little DeWalt sander. That's some 120 grit is kind of what I recommend or prefer. And wanted to show you what I like to do or what's worked for me in the past. Now, we're not trying to sand a lot of material off of here. We're just trying to put a little texture or scuff on the surface. You can see here where I've transitioned from the DA sander to where we cleaned it yesterday. So here we go, folks. Just to scuff the welding bead, but I'm not really trying to remove any material. You can see in real time it goes very fast. Now when you get up to where you got the fittings and whatnot, it's a little more intricate. What I was doing around, say for example, these ears or tabs, I'm kind of using the edge of the disc. Get in there and work it a bit. Corners, scuffing up the welds a little, getting right in the corner there, working my way out, and then the inside of this, and we'll radius little bit. I'm just using a DA to soften that. Same on this inside. Again, we're not trying to remove a lot of material. We're just trying to put some texture on there. Now, one of the other things we're doing is I'm taking my older discs and I've already actually started kind of prepping and sanding around. Now you can see I've already taped those off. And I mentioned earlier that it is very important to leave the label on the tank. And I want to show y'all a couple little tricks though, just to speed things along. Now everybody's got their things that they like to do, but like when we're masking this off, I will run that tape right to the corner, to the other edge. You can kind of just use your thumb or your finger to tear it back. And I'm trying to tear this kind of flat or straight so it's real easy to run it right back up to the next corner. Thumb again to tear that back. And we just keep moving around there. You do kind of need the piece to be either straight or you got to tear it kind of back at a slight angle. Again, right to the corner, using my thumb. And just that quick, you can get something like this masked off. It doesn't have to be perfect in this scenario, but masking is one of those things that can really make your work look good, protect things, make things look nice. Now at this phase, again, remember it's very important to wear some gloves because your hands have oils and salts in them and you do not want to be contaminating the surface. So what I was doing this morning, and I've already started, is just take an older used piece of sandpaper, and I kind of like to just use the corner of it and turn it on edge and go around the edges of the weld. Now if you remember yesterday, we did sand this or surface this quite a bit with some of the more aggressive Scotch-Brite pads or the stripping 3M stripping pads. Those did a really, really nice job of already kind of preparing this surface. And I've found that the sanding goes a lot better if you do that beforehand as well. If you don't use those stripping pads and clean the surface well, definitely going to take longer to sand things and make things look nice. This is going to be your little ground tab. I only masked off half of that. Anywhere that the machine can't get, you can just use an old piece of sandpaper, and that is all you gotta do. We've suspended our fuel tank so that we can get all the way around this thing. Whatever you can do or use to make work. Obviously we got some chain hoist overhead and we just tied either end so this thing wouldn't spin continually. And this is the product we're going to be using. This is the Interlux 2000E. I've used this again in the past with a lot of success. It's a 2-part epoxy, and I went ahead and poured up a little bit of the material. Your base is going to be the gray. You got an activator for it, and it's basically a 3-to-1. So we went ahead, and if you think about the 3, so we got a 6, so that'd be 2, 4, 6. That'd be your 3 parts, and then 2 parts on the activator. And this material requires a little bit of what they call an induction time, which means it needs to stand for about 20 minutes after you've activated it. So while that is sitting there, I'll put a little mixer blade or something over it just to kind of minimize the evaporation of it. And we're going to use a little bit of acetone in our ZEP sprayer. And while we're doing that, we're gonna wipe this tank down one more time. Now I did take an air nozzle and blow this off thoroughly beforehand, and I just want to do one more thorough wipe down from front to back. I like to kind of just be really methodical with everything we're doing. So our 20 minutes of induction time have passed, and we're going to thin our Interlux 2000E with a little bit of the 2316N. It's a reducer that they recommend, and they recommend it at about 15%. So we got it all, went ahead and poured that up off to the side. Now, in my opinion, it is important, and typically with most paint systems, to mix your two main base components first, let them go through their induction time, and then thin or reduce it. And you can see that really changes the consistency of things. Now, like I said, you get about 240 square feet of theoretical coverage is what Interlux says. If you're brushing or rolling, if you're spraying, it's only like 180. So it's gonna be more efficient, but it can actually be sprayed. Now this product is also really, really good for below the water line, what they call like a barrier coat. So if you've got a boat that stays in the water all the time, or it's gonna be staying in the water all the time, you would lightly sand the gel coat surfaces, and then you would typically 4 or 5 coats of the 2000E, and then you go over it with your anti-fouling, and that creates a moisture, an epoxy-based moisture barrier. And that is a really good product for blister prevention. And a lot of times it's part of a blister repair system. So we would use like a vinyl ester or epoxy putty or filler, and then go over that with the barrier coat and then your anti-fouling. So that's looking pretty good. Pretty nice consistency there. Go into the pan. I've got a nice brush, nothing terribly expensive, but something a little bit better than your typical chip brush. And today we're using a Purdy, the White Dove, and that's, I believe that's 1/4 inch nap, so fairly short. We went ahead and pre-cut our roller and taped it to pull off any excess hairs. Want to be sure our pan is nice and clean. Prep work is key, folks. I may have mixed up a little much. I don't know. We'll find out. I just did not want to run short today while we were videoing. Start here at the top. Work our way down. Now sometimes it's nice to have someone with a brush helping you out, and they can come around and touch up. Stuff actually covers really nice. Does a nice job. I've been using it a long time. I feel confident recommending it. It's been on the market for a long time. It's not a new product. And like everything, I'll be sure to put an Amazon link to our Amazon store, all the products we use. And if you're doing fiberglass work like Fiberglass Warehouse, check them out. They've got a really nice FISHBUMPTV discount code. So here we go, just nice and methodical. We'll do the top of the tank first. Now temperatures, just to give you a reference point, today we're at 29 Celsius or 85 Fahrenheit, which to me is about ideal. You want to try to paint this or seal it as soon as you can after the prep work though, because aluminum and other materials will start to oxidize and react to the environment. Now, I don't know that y'all need to see every tiny bit of us, but a lot of us painting the whole thing. But a lot of times when you get up in the detail stuff, I just like to use a brush, and we'll kind of just dab around the shackles. Now later on in the painting process, we may change this shackle over so that we can get some epoxy primer on that as well. But I found that if you kind of dab it on there, it kind of matches the texture of the roller and works it up in the little crevices and whatnot. I tend to like to work from the top down as I'm rolling. Seems like that works well. Everybody's got their techniques though. If we have any professional painters out there, let me know what your thoughts are. I know a lot of times when you're spraying, you start from the bottom and work your way up. A lot of times when I'm brushing, because you get little splatter and drips and runs, and then that way if you start from the top and work your way down, you can kind of catch those little splatters and drips and runs. You notice I'm coming at this at multiple angles too. We're not really that concerned about how pretty it is, but we do want really nice coverage, and we want to work this material in from every angle. So a lot of times you'll see me go up and down, back and forth, up and down, back and forth. We don't want to be skimpy with these products either, but if you put it on too heavy, the material can run. It's nice to have another set of eyes too, if you've got somebody else that can be helping you look for parts that you may have missed. It's easy to miss something when you're doing this kind of work. I tend to like to roll as much as I can and come back with the brush immediately while it's still wet and do a little bit of dabbing here and touch it up, work it in around those fittings. This will extend the life of your fuel tank considerably. Now, one thing you can specify is a thicker tank as well. This one is a 0.125 or 1/8 inch. When we had our big tank built for our 29, it was a 0.180. That is going to be like approximately 3/16 of an inch thick, and that's going to give you a little more protection as well if there ever is any corrosion, moisture. That thicker tank is going to give you a longer life expectancy, and a lot of times it's not that much more expensive to get a thicker tank. So that may be something you want to consider when you reach out to Ezel or whoever y'all choose to use. Ezels can build it to your specifications. All right, I think that's looking quite good. I'm not super worried about some of the tracks, all the tracks going exactly the same way, but if you like to be really neat, usually you can make all your roller tracks go in the same way. Get everything looking super nice. All right, so depending on the temperature, you've got about 2 to 3 hours typically between minimum times to overcoat. And I've got a bit of paint left. And one thing you can do is very carefully, we will pour this back in a container, and I'm going to collect this. And then what you can do is cover it with a plastic bag or something. A lot of times we will put it in the shop refrigerator and cool it down, and that'll extend the cure life of this material. And then we'll turn a fan on this, or we may even run a little bit of a heat source on there to kind of really kick it up. The higher the temperature, the faster this stuff's going to cure. And here, like in a boat shop, or even you at home, if you're working during the weekend and you only got one day to get a project done, you want to get as many coats as possible. And what's cool about this product is theoretically in one day's time you could get 2 or even 3 coats of primer on. Now this is we'll do a little walk around here so everybody can kind of see what we got. You can see it's kind of flattening out a little bit, and overall I think everything looks really nice. Now we will be pivoting back here in a few days, and we are getting ready to install this thing permanently in our project boat. And again, if you're new to the channel and haven't seen the project boat, and if you want to see floors, stringers, transoms, all that going together, if you want to see the build of our custom 29 that we run in our family's charter business, feel free to jump back a couple years ago and check that out. If you're visiting maybe down in the south and want to go fishing with us, look me up, Island Marine Charters, and you can give us a call and we can go out fishing and talk about your boat project and have a good time out there on the water. So I hope y'all enjoyed this. Now there are going to be, remember, typically about 4 to 5 coats for this to be done, but to speed this video along, we're going to just say 1, and it would just be a rinse, wash, repeat. You'd be doing it over and over again. So if you enjoyed the video, hit that like, subscribe, comment, share, tell a friend in the boating community. Please help spread the word about the work we're doing. It's Captain Joe here, Island Marine Charters, Fish Bump TV. My son Logan working hard behind the scenes as my amazing cameraman. We'll catch you in the next episode.